Good morning, traders. So let's have a look at the Bitcoin. Now, in yesterday's video, I showed you that bottom-up movement on the weekly bar. We had this spinning top formation. And so far this week is pretty much nothing to down if you look at what's going on. So we did get up to a weekly level, which is this swing low here, when the seller stepped in and pushed it down again. So if you look at the size of all these weekly bars, this is really indecision candle, and we pretty much have another one that's formed so far this week. Anyway, let's just get down to the daily, see if we can see any trades today. So for me, I'm just going to delete that horizontal line, and I'm going to add this one in, and we're going to add, let's put it in there. Okay. So right now we are in a very big range, and we are towards the bottom side of this range. Now, with the Bull-Williams system that I'm using here, you can see the awesome oscillator. Momentum is to the upside, prices gradually moving to the upside. Okay. Now, ideally, what you want to see with the Bull-Williams is you want to see price above the alligator, and this is the alligator. So you have the head, which is here. You have the teeth, which is the red line, and then you have the lips, which is the green line. Sorry, this blue line is not the head, it's the jaw. So it's jaw, teeth, lips. Okay, everything together is called the head. And when it's pointing up like that, alligator's hungry and we're running away. When we're pointing down, alligator's hungry, but we're pointing to the downside, which means price is moving to the downside. When we are horizontal, alligator is sleeping and there is no or little change. Okay, so typically a range. So right now, the alligator is pointing to the downside. We are below the 200-day EMA. So for all intents and purposes, this is downward motion. It should be continuing. Okay, but as I pointed out yesterday, there are a couple of things which are standing out for me, and the big one is that this inverse head and shoulders here, which is still in play, even though we've come back, we could just be forming another sort of another right shoulder. Okay, so the concerning factor here is that this upward trend line broke yesterday and we continue to the downside. So what we're looking for now is somewhere along the line of there, or alternatively there. We're looking for price to find a base somewhere in this area. Otherwise, we're going to be attacking this low. And remember what I pointed out yesterday is we still have this breakout retest that's due. Okay, so one of the best ways of doing this right now is just put a Fibonacci on here to see where we are. We're at the 50% retracement of this up move. Okay, so just delete that. So what we're looking for here is, let's get to the hour. We're looking for a reason to get in long, and at this stage we've had the first signal that's been fired. Okay, and what I mean by that, so there is diversions here. So this black line is the MACD, and you can see what my MACD, no, you can't see what my MACD settings are, but anyway, this is a 513.5 MACD, okay, which is overlaid on top of the awesome oscillator, which is default setting. So what you can see here is that the MACD is making new highs, but price is making new lows. Okay, so this right now, I'm going to get rid of that line, and we're now going to focus on the hour here, because what we're looking for is a break of this trend line. Okay, let's just copy that segment. See, nope. So we have a wedge, we have a falling wedge. So we're looking for a break of this trend line. Okay, now the awesome oscillator is indicating that there is also diversions. You can see there's a low and there's a higher low. Okay, so there is indication here that we are forming a reversal pattern. So this is a flag which we're expecting a break to the upside. So for me, I would be watching this area with interest. If we do break above this trend line, it'll be a great area to be long, and stop losses are going to be below the low of this pin bar. I'd actually go below this low here, just in case it does come back to tag this area and move to the upside. But the first trigger is here. We've got this big engulfing candle on the hour. We've taken out 2 previous hours of trading. Okay, so I'm looking for longs at this stage. If you really want to, you can drill down to sort of a 15-minute level. And what you're going to be looking for in the 15-minute is you're going to be looking for a break above the alligator. Okay, you can already see we have had a break here. So we've broken above this area here. So a retest of this area would be great. You can see how the alligator is starting to point up. So this is starting to build into an area where you want to get long. And it just depends on what time frame you are entering the market in. If you are entering on the 15, this is too late. Okay, you wanted to be in on this break here. So what you do now is you just wait for a retracement, hopefully to this level. But I suspect what will happen is when we get to the blue line here, the jaw, price will come back. You can see how it gets to the jaw here and then it pulls away. So I would expect it to come back, and you're looking for it to form a base. So it either finds some support on the red line here and it continues moving to the upside. Okay, but also we have a fractional break here. Okay, on the 15-minute. So this high here is a fractional, and a fractional basically means I have a high, and on either side of the high I have 2 lower highs. So there's a lower high and there's a lower high. I'm not interested in the lows, I'm only interested in the highs. And there's a lower high and there's a lower high. So that's a fractional to the top. Let's just mark it. So that's a fractional to the top, and copy. Oh, wrong one. And we want to copy the circle. And this here is a fractional to the bottom, because I have a low, I have a higher low, a higher low, a higher low, a higher low. So what you're looking for is a high with 2 lower highs on either side for a top fractional, and for a bottom fractional it's the reverse. Okay, so you're looking for a low with 2 higher lows on either side. Okay, so why this is important is when you break a fractional above the red line here. Now this is pretty much on the red line, so it's not ideal. Obviously what you'd want is this red line to be lower down here when you broke above it. That is a good indication that you have upward momentum building. Okay, because it's basically a higher high on that level. So that's kind of what I'd be watching for. Is we could pull back and form another fractional here, and that fractional will definitely be above the teeth, the red line. And if it is above the red line, then that is a good entry to be long. Okay, so the fractionals work on any time frame. I like to use them on the 15 for my early entries, and then I start to use them on the 1 hour to add to my trades. Okay, so whenever you break a fractional, normally it comes back to test the break, which is pretty much what it's doing now, and you've got to look for an entry to be long. But this is not a valid fractional entry. We did break it slightly above the alligator, but it's not enough in my book. Okay, so if you look here was a fractional break here, there's a fractional, and yes, there are a number of bars on either side, but the theory still stays the same. There's my high, my lower high, then I've got a high, so it doesn't work. So now I've got a high, now I've still got a lower high, so now I start counting from here, lower high, so there is my fractional there. These first 2 bars are still part of the fractional, same as this one. So I've got a low high there, but then with a higher high. So but then that counts, and then that counts. So that pattern works out more than 5 bars. Normally it's a 5-bar pattern, but it can be more than 5 bars. You just got to use some common sense and you're looking for a high, and then you're looking for two lower highs on either side. But even if it takes 5 or 6 bars, sorry, 6 or 8 bars to build, that's still a valid pattern. Okay, so that's a fractal there, and you can see we broke the fractal here, moved to the upside, but that fractal break failed. Okay, so you typically want to see these fractal breaks on the opposite, on the right side of the alligator. So for example, if we were trading fractal breaks here, here's a fractal break over here. So this is a fractal. We broke to the downside below the red line, so we are trending to the downside. You can see how it keeps moving to the downside. And every fractal break, there's another fractal break there. Here's a fractal break. Here's a fractal break. And you can see how price moves to the downside. So for price to continue moving to the downside, you'd look for a break of this fractal. Okay, so hope it makes sense. But that's pretty much what I'm looking for. The way the alligator is turning now is I'm looking for longs. Okay, and if we come down back to the hour, we're looking for a reason to be long, and that is my first signal bar, that big engulfing bar. So I'd like to see a second signal bar or a pattern form, which will then indicate that this downward move is over and we can start looking for a long. Anyway, guys, hope that helps. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and leave us a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Anyway, catch you guys later. Cheers, man.